difference if it's hot and humid here, it's hot and humid there.
It's worse there.
No,
It's
it
worse
isn't.
there. Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
it is.
Based on what we had this summer?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 15th, 2022 meeting of this Shrewsbury Police Station Building Committee. We have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. First on the agenda, we have the minutes from July 18th, 2022.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second. We have a motion and a second on the minutes from July 18th, 2022. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Next, we have our bills to pay, as we do every month. We have Fontaine Brothers, $1,472,191. Allied Testing Laboratories, $485. Construction Monitoring Services, $60,000. Construction Monitoring Services again, $4,536.48. Techton Architects, $42,685.04. Colliers, $2,396.06. And Eagle Leasing Company, $187.41, for a grand total of $1,582,480.99. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Make a motion that we approve.
We have a motion,
Second.
and we have a second to approve the previously stated bills and warrants. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. And on to the reports. First, we have Neil from Construction Monitoring Services. Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon. You all should have received a budget update from us as part of the information package. Payments to date total $19.230 million, just over 52% complete on construction. Represent payments authorized today as well as progress payments from previous bills. Happy to take any questions.
Anybody?
Good.
Donna? Anybody? Nope. So it looks like we're good on that, Neil.
Defer the rest of my comments to others.
All right.
Thank you, Pat.
To be continued, as it were. All right. Next, we have Matt from Techton Architects. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. We've had strong progress over the past month. These are very sensitive mics. A lot of the exterior envelope is coming really close to nearing completion. A lot of the site work is being finalized to be brought up to grade over the coming weeks. And there's been significant progress on the interior, and we'll go through some of these photographs as well. And as I always lead off with sort of the same shot of progress from the front entry of the building here, and you can see that pretty much a majority of the windows are in on the front. Again, that one window at the front of the building that's still the exposed spray foam will be the last to go, so they can utilize that opening for loading to the second floor. But zooming in a little bit closer, you can see that the main curtain wall there outside the clerk's office is being prepped and readied for the curtain wall installation. This was on Thursday. There's actually been a lot of progress on that opening since then. You can see the ballistic liner panel that's on the lower portion of that gets covered up by metal panels, and then the ballistic rated glazing above that. So they've put in several pieces of the framing members of that today, and that'll continue on through the rest of the week. But over the next week or so, you'll start to see those last windows going in, and we'll get pretty close to finishing that up. Additional site work that's going on now, some of the preparations for some of the finished site work is ongoing as well. This is the plaza off to the back, so they're forming up the footings that go in for a small retaining wall that goes there. This is just to between the training room and the sally port, and where the fallen officer memorial will be installed as well. So they're just getting that footing set here. That was on Thursday. Today they were finishing up the rebar for that, getting ready for the concrete pours, and Allied Testing is scheduled to take samples of that concrete once it goes in tomorrow. This is around the other side of the sally port. Again, just starting to tie the building in with the utilities. So these are the stormwater connections up to the roof drainage systems, the leaders that go up to the downspouts. And then also the building ground ring was being installed as well. There's a little bit of exposed copper you can see just in front of that drain piping, and that's the ground ring that goes around the entire building to tie into the lightning protection system. Moving on to the interior, this is the lobby. I think the last we saw this space, it was all open framing still, but you can see that the majority of the drywall is on the walls. Display cases are framed out. The ceiling grid is installed and ready for drywall and acoustic ceiling. And as we mentioned previously, the building is being finished sort of from the patrol offices forward. So this is sort of the least finished portion of the ground floor. And as we work our way back into the building, it gets closer and closer to completion. This is down to the training room. This is from the presenter level, looking up the tiered seats and towards the exterior wall. You can just see, since this is a training room and an EOC, there's a large amount of power data that's coordinated in this space, not only in the tiered risers going up, but also in the wall. And this is sort of the last glimpse you'll see at the amount of conduit and power that's on that elevation. So this is being drywalled as we speak. And we'll continue to get closer to completion. Some of the drywall ceiling components in soffits are being framed in now as well. Just on the other side of the wall, behind that photograph is the stair, stair 1. This is the larger stair that has the ramp down to the lower portion of seating and exits out on the plaza level. Since we had last met, the pans had just been installed, and they've since been infilled with concrete. Railings have been installed. And again, drywall and finishes are going to be going in here shortly as well. This is the back of the dispatch area. This is the communications equipment room. This has been sort of just a blank space for a while now, but they're starting to, the electrician is starting to make their home runs with the data wiring. So this is just a small portion of the wiring that'll be going into the space. It's a significant amount of work, and it's good to see some progress in here. Some of the tubs being installed, and then a little bit further on down the road, once we get the race access flooring in, the server racks will be installed as well. So that'll start terminating a lot of these connections. And we're in the finishes. So this is the lobby bathroom. Again, this was on Thursday. This room's now complete, actually, with tile. So you can start to see that being installed now. They had just grouted this, the elevation on the right, and they were working their way around the room. So it's good to see progress. Basically, all of the public bathrooms and unisex bathrooms on the ground floor have been tiled. They had just one bathroom off the lobby that they were grouting. Probably tomorrow. They were just cleaning up their spacers at the end of the day today. And this is one of the restrooms that's complete, so it's pretty much ready for floor prep and flooring, and then fixtures and accessories. So we're getting pretty close to finishing out some of these spaces. So it's good progress to see. This is the next area that they're prepping. This is the locker room. So they've skim coated the walls that are yet to receive tile. You can see some marks on the floor. So they're sort of coordinating where the lockers are going to be installed, because that ties into ceiling soffits and return air plenums. So they're just starting their layout work in there and getting that all prepared. But that's getting ready for tile as the next step. Into the fitness room here, you can see a lot of the finished fixtures are in here waiting to be installed. Off to the right, you can see the ceiling fans, and off to the left is the spiral ductwork. Ductwork will be installed, and then once that's done, the dry fall paint, which is a spray paint that they basically put onto the ceiling, the mechanical elements up there, sort of sprays on wet, dry falls dry, hence the name, and that way it doesn't get everything else messy. So that'll be going on shortly.
It's still a mess, though.
Yeah.
It covers everything.
This is the simulator room, so that's getting ready. Pretty much everything's prepped for them to come in. We actually just got a notice from the training simulator that they had a final survey just of room readiness for them. So we're coordinating that and returning it back to them so we can get a confirmed ship date on that material. And then towards the back of the building, these are the patrol sergeant spaces. So again, first coat of paint is done, windows are in, ceiling grids in, a majority of the light fixtures are in, and some of the devices and things like that are going to be installed in the next week or so. So I think they're expecting middle of this week or early next week the first shipment of acoustic ceiling tiles and they'll pull those out where devices will be installed and just install those device locations before they flood the entire ceiling. So these are going from pretty rough and raw spaces a few weeks ago to really being finished out and getting ready for final fixtures to be installed and completed. Detectives, so we're up on the second floor now. This was pretty much just open framing a couple of weeks ago, and you can see that since we last met, drywall's going in. This is one of the largest spaces in the building, so there's quite a lot of work to do in here. Soffits are being coordinated and framed out around structural steel, and all the architectural elements will start to tie together once the drywall is finished. And then the second floor corridors, again, drywall continuing throughout the corridors, taping and finishing, and then they're pretty close, if not already starting, to prime and first coat some of these walls as well. On the roof, a lot of the exterior walls that tie into the roofing components with flashings and things like that are being completed. Masonry on this part of the building it was just being completed when we were up there. They were just installing the last pieces of the precast caps that finish off the fitness area in this photo. So that's one of the last pieces here. And then they can just finish the soffits, and there's a couple areas where we have metal panels. And then looking out towards Maple Ave, if you've driven by, you can see the fenced off portion of that. There's sort of a Half Moon Plaza where there's the bus stop and everything right there. So that's just getting graded out and prepped. Have you guys started the wall rebuild yet?
No, there was a delay on the project that crew is coming off of, so they should be on site Wednesday. So they're going to start that stone wall rebuild, and then once the stone wall's done, they'll build it up to the subgrade for the pavers in that area, and they'll install the pavers at the same time. So,
and that's pretty much where we are. I would anticipate over the next month or so, the exterior envelope will continue to finish. And the interior finishes will continue as well, and we'll be getting really close to finishing out spaces and getting room by rooms complete.
Questions? Mo? Evan? No? All right.
I just had one question. The parking canopy with the footing needing to go to a deeper elevation. Can you just explain that, just so I understand it?
Yeah, we can. I think we can get into that when we discuss the change order.
Yeah, we have a
Oh.
whole. Yeah, that's coming up soon, once we get the change order number.
It triggered me when I saw the picture.
Understand. I just have one very general, broad question.
Yeah.
A lot of progress, it looks like, since the last time we met. Would you say we are on schedule, ahead of schedule? What's the timeline look like? We still right on schedule?
yeah, I'd say we're doing well with everything that we've worked through in the past year.
Okay.
There's a lot of work to be done, but
Sure.
even I still see a path forward to get it here end of November.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right. And that brings us to Ryan from Fontaine Brothers for his update.
Okay, well, great to see everybody this afternoon. Matt kind of went through everything that's going on site right now. As you mentioned before, we're starting to see some of the finished landscaping going. The landscape architect, I don't know if you're going to be out here Thursday or Tyler, but we're going tagging trees Thursday afternoon and different plants at Bigelow Nurseries right down the road. So you'll see all the plants and everything move to the site probably by the end of August. I believe they have 2 weeks after tagging to get that there. So they'll set up a temp nursery for areas that probably off from one of the corners. So you'll have all of your planting material here for the fall, working our way around. As Matt mentioned, that retaining wall for the recessed seating area was ongoing. Really pushing to get that done because that's one of the last major items to get finished before we can get the back parking lot into binder. So they're pouring footings tomorrow. There's a lot of coordination between the electrician with lights in that area, different drainage for the area drains in the seating area, and hope by the end of next week that is all done and stripped and Marguerite's moving out of there so we can get the final grade up to the back of that retaining wall. There's a small modular block retaining wall which is getting delivered tomorrow, which Amarillo is going to put in, and some miscellaneous electrical around back at the entrance, or no, it's the exit of the Sally Port. So we're had discussions with Amarillo earlier this morning about selecting a paving date, and luckily, since they do their own paving, they have flexibility on that. So we're pushing that just to get all of the dirt that gets tracked in and out with 60 to 75 workers every day on site to reduce that, and that'll really set us up well for starting flooring and other finishes as we work our way through the middle to end of September. Been having conversations with our raised access flooring vendor, getting all of the flooring that is coming from your flooring filed sub-bidder to the raised access flooring subcontractor so they can factory install that, and we can get the key areas like the communications closet installed to get those racks and terminations pulled. As Matt mentioned, the large curtain walls are going in. We expect that front elevation to be done this week. Steve and I are going to be setting the date on Wednesday at our foreman's meeting for when we're closing up that big hole on the second floor to get all the material out of there. As Matt had shown, the open space in the detectives area is the big unfinished area, and that's the push for us for the next 2 weeks to get that area ready for drywall, finished out, and work our way down so we can get the big lifts out of there. And that kind of is the last major use for that loading dock. So by this time next month, that loading dock should be all closed up, and there should be a nice pretty window in there. And then it's just more finishes as Matt mentioned. Ceiling tiles are coming in. We have fire suppression heads. You have all your return registers for return and supply air for all your HVAC systems. Toilet fixtures for the whole ground floor are showing up this week. Flooring, active conversations with that. All of the materials in their warehouse, so it's just a timing and mobilization. Permanent power should be getting turned on by this time next month, as we're aiming for permanent power middle of September, so that way we can start kicking units into October once it starts cooling off. Everything's just moving. We had lots of finishes going right now, so it's kind of we're coming through the transition phase from the finisher rough into finishes going full bore. So lots of moving parts, and it's an exciting time of the project.
Thanks, Ryan.
Question.
Yep, Mo.
So, on the corner, in the back by the old police station, do you have to do something with the retention area over there?
Yeah, so I believe that's retention area 2 or 3. That is going to be partially built this fall, because in the final phase, part of that detention system is sitting underneath the corner of the garage. So working through it, that was something that we've been in communication with the police department on moving that shed from behind the garage area over and building a portion of the detention system. That primarily is where all the gutter downspouts for the front of the building feed into. So we have a location and a layout that'll be adequate for the build to service the building until we can knock the old station down and get the full system in. But that's something that we are looking at.
Is that going to hold up putting the pavement down in that?
No, because we're going to look at doing the binder in the back and then doing that front entrance at 2 times, just with the loading dock. There you have the pavers you have the planters in front, and because they're vehicularly rated, they have somewhat deep footings, so those need to be done on the front before we can get up to the subgrade that we need for that. So we're looking at doing the back parking lot and Sallyport entrance exit, and putting that into binder before the front entrance.
Okay, thanks.
John.
Ryan, I noticed a lot of material is leaving site. I noticed the trucks are loading up substantial amount. Is that moving off-site?
Sure.
The material, is that just being off? I noticed the excavator.
Oh, yes.
Big dirt pile?
Yep. Yeah, so that is specifically for the excess soil export, which is going to Wheelabrator, the ash landfill on Route 20, which is one of the PCOs that we're going to be discussing. So we can give a more description on that in a little bit, and if you have more questions, we can answer them.
Just have one question.
Keith.
I haven't asked about the generator in a while. Are we still on target for that?
Yeah, so that's going to be delivered, I believe, the first or second week of November. And at that point, they have a couple weeks of time to tie it all in. But we've had discussions with Patty Sheehan, the building inspector, and Seth Colby, the deputy fire chief, about being able to get a temporary certificate of occupancy to help the move-in process and setting up all of the FF&E that has to go from December through February, which they don't have an issue with. So that's a conversation when we were made aware of the long lead times that we got ahead of early.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Donna?
When's the police station coming down? I realize they have to move in.
We're targeting March, or end of February, March in that
So-
area.
So that whole corner won't really be finished till springtime sometime.
Correct. Yeah,
Wanted to keep that in my head.
yeah. I believe we're targeting the middle of May for having the parking lot and everything. That's the schedule in my head, so hopefully that should be what's written on paper too.
Close enough.
Spring to late spring.
Before summer.
There you go.
Less than a year.
My only reason for asking that is because I realize, you know, the move-in is a big step.
Mhm.
And I also, you're going to be dealing with the winter, so you're not going to be doing anything in that corner anyhow, because you can't.
Yeah. It's not a bad time to take down a building. We
Right.
take down buildings any time of the year, but
All right, very good. That brings us to item number 5, change orders.
Change order
So we have
5.
change order number 5, and the first one on there is the canopy footing and utility conflict. So why don't we start with that, since Don had a question on that anyway.
So I'll just go through these quickly, and then we can
Sure.
dig into any detail on any of the items that
Yep.
that is requested. PCO 58 is presented. This was a modification to the design footing to avoid a conflict that was determined to exist between the newly installed drain line and the parking canopy footings. Just the outside utilities were not correctly coordinated, and there was a conflict in the design that wasn't caught until the drain line was already in,
well, the drain line
or vice versa.
the drain line wasn't put in, but the foundations weren't installed yet, so they waited to do that. And when they laid out the footings, they saw a conflict at that point. So that's why that went that way.
Does that answer your questions?
So, yes, but even though you had to do that, this expense would be considered minimal for what you had to do?
Of
Or is this
of any impact, this was the least cost prohibitive. So what we did was we dropped the footing 2 feet, and it's basically a footing and a stem wall, or a stem pier, I guess you would call it. So that way you got the hunk of concrete below where the pipe had to go through, because where it was originally shown between the drainage plans and the structural plans was the pipe would be going straight through the footing.
So it wasn't a big disaster, it was just?
No, and it was, so there's 16 piers there, and only, for the whole canopy, and only 2 of the piers had to be adjusted. So it's not like the whole thing changed.
Right.
In the scheme of things, it was minor.
So you just put the piers at the footings at a deeper depth,
Yeah,
and the
Yep.
pipe went above it.
the pipe went where it was shown. Yep,
Yeah, so a little bit more excavation.
excavation, concrete, and some additional rebar, a little bit of time.
That does, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
PCO 66, when we were purchasing the appliances, we made a small addition, and we added a refrigerator in the break room. So we're providing an additional power outlet as well as a water connection for the additional refrigerator. We made a change in the roofer scope, as well as some modifications to the rake and blocking details on the gable end of the building. The result was a net credit of $3,795. There was PCO 69 was for an additional beam that was required at the high-density storage on the second floor. There was an error in the drawings which showed the recess of the floor incorrectly. It wasn't coordinated with the architectural drawings appropriately. That was not caught until after the slabs were laid out and the steel was installed. So there was an additional steel beam that was needed to be added underneath the rail system for the second floor high-density storage. The cost of that was $6,675.85. In the locker room area, PCO 70, this is kind of a hard one to describe, but the outside perimeter walls of the locker room area create the finished wall surfaces on the opposite side in a corridor. So the CM and the mason correctly said the finished wall corridor should be in plane and smooth, right? So there's a manufacturing tolerance for CMU block. If you hold one side perfectly flush, which is what you'll see in the hallway, the back side of the wall becomes somewhat irregular because some blocks are a little bigger and some blocks are a little smaller. The problem is that on the back side of that wall, it was the finished wall surface for the locker rooms. And those locker rooms were scheduled to receive tile. And the tolerance of the block was greater than the tolerance of the tile. So what we decided to do was basically skim coat all of the inside face in the locker rooms so that the tile would be uniform in appearance and smooth to the eye. So that was added work to the tile setter at the amount of $6,577. We looked at multiple options on how to resolve that. This also was the cheapest alternative.
So that just gives you a smooth working surface on the backside to give to
So you
say
have a
put the
good
tiles
surface
up
to start
easily.
with,
Yeah,
right?
makes sense.
The PCO 72 was the addition of the domestic water submeter. This was an omission from the specification and was required to meet the requirements of LEED and the other environmental standards that we're doing for this project. And then the last issue to your question was the removal of the excess topsoil from the site. This was an issue that was identified when we were buying out the site work early on in the process. We knew we had to do it. We weren't sure what the requirements were for disposal because we hadn't properly characterized the soil. In the interim, we have done that. We did a cross-section of the pile. We have an estimated quantity to be removed. This was always an allowance within the site work package, so we knew we had to do the work, and this was just putting that process into place. And in strong appreciation for Keith and the work that the town did to set up the arrangement with Wheelabrator, this number could have been significantly higher had that deal not been brokered. So this is a very good value for the work that we need to do. And as we previously noted, that work is in process as we speak.
And it's a not to exceed either. So this is essentially a change order that is going to be billed to the site subcontractor as an allowance. So as material leaves the site, it gets brought to the Wheelabrator site on Route 20. It goes across a weigh station, so a scale. So they'll find, they'll sum up the amount of weight, and we pay based on the amount of weight that comes into the site. So we expect at the end of this was a not to exceed, and whatever isn't used will be credited back.
So you don't think this will, that was my question, this is an estimate, this 95,000?
Yeah, that's an
You don't think
estimate.
it'll exceed that?
No, it won't.
Okay,
That's
all
an
right.
estimate with a percentage of fluff on top.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I ask two questions? The first one, is sub-metering the domestic water?
Yes.
Why do we have to do that? I'm just curious why. What's the reason that we have to do that?
It's my understanding that it's a lead requirement. There are points involved in it.
Well, I understand that, but why do you have to do that? The water's coming into the building. I don't understand why they, I'm just wondering why they require it. Water's coming into the building, using it anyways.
I might be able to help. So they're sub-metering domestic water that we're using in plumbing fixtures. So that excludes all of any, should exclude any water related to the HVAC system or the boilers. So it's all about reducing water usage and understanding, we're using low flow fixtures, we're using and all that stuff. So it's all about, it's all for the sustainability reasons more than anything else.
So would you say that this sub-meter, it measures discretionary water use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted.
So if somebody's
Should've
taking
just
a
had you answer it.
2-hour shower.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
All right, okay.
because we'll actually be able to see what people in the building are using water for.
Okay.
Okay. One other question. So, when you were putting the site work together, like site work numbers, did you carry an allowance to have this stuff removed? I'm confused on what you did at the time. We knew we had stuff that was gonna have to go off-site.
As I recall, there was an estimated amount of surplus soil that was gonna be removed.
Yep.
And it was, depending on how the soil was eventually characterized, there were several unit prices that were put in place that would have affected where and how that soil was disposed of.
So you put a number against it.
Yes,
So what is this that number?
no,
No.
This is a number above that?
no, I
No,
believe it's
this is
actually
well
below
below
it.
Well below that number, yeah.
Okay.
When we were first talking about this, we were a lot higher.
Orders of magnitude higher.
So my brain's not working right. So initially you carried a number higher than this?
Yes,
Well, the cost for removal of the soil is all dependent on what the soil is.
Right.
So our concern,
But you carried a number.
yes,
So say it was 150,000. Just say for the sake of argument, because you
Yeah.
thought it could be more. It could possibly be more.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't understand what this number is. I just,
It's actual cost.
Yeah, it's like, it's not dissimilar to some other items that have been on the change order slips for material that was carried as an allowance in the overall project budget, but was never actually assigned. Now we're assigning that fund.
oh, okay. Okay, I get it.
As I recall, we didn't know what was in the soil at the time.
Right, I'm just trying to figure out how the numbers
Right.
work.
We also didn't have wheel grader in place at the time,
Right,
which
okay.
are both
Yeah,
significant cost
and
savings.
we
as I
weren't
my
sure what the
recollection.
back parking lot was gonna look like, if there was gonna be a second driveway there, if that could have been spread out in a thicker
it.
manner, there's the whole
So
park
nothing was
there.
ever assigned to removing the excess
No.
soil?
But units were carried
Okay.
for the different soil types so that there wasn't, it was just identifying what the soil type was and expanding out the quantity for the unit cost, which is representative of that
Okay.
value.
I got it. Thanks.
Is that both questions?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
lost track.
one more.
Yep, no, I'm good.
Donna?
I just want to say this, not for us so much as if someone's watching this, all of these changes are not expenses to the town, correct?
They're funded through the CM contingency, which is included in the GMP. That's
So
correct.
it's not that the cost is going up and up and up.
That's
I just
correct.
want people to understand that if they're watching.
Thank you. These change orders are okay,
Yes.
in other words.
We can breathe.
All right, very good. That brings us to item number 6.
Still on 5.
Oh, we're still on 5. I'm sorry. We have furniture package. Contract A, yes.
So I can summarize the two
approve
furniture. So there's, and then on the
We
next,
should move to approve the
We
change
have to
order.
approve this.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. All right, why don't we go, yeah.
Move to approve the change order.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve change order number 005. Any further discussion on this matter? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on item 5, section B, furniture package contract A, change order 001. Matt?
I can handle that one. And then just, there is a part C to this, but we'll take these in order. So so there's a change order for each furniture contract, contract A and contract B. We awarded 2 separate sets of packages based on scopes to different furniture vendors. And so the first one is to the furniture contract A, which is to Sheehan's. This is essentially when we put the package out to bid. Between then and now, with the actual executed package that's getting released to production, there were some back and forth with the chief and his department staff on a couple of various items that they didn't need anymore, or a couple of other ones that they needed to add into it, and some finish confirmations. And those adds and deletions basically resulted in a net credit of $4,852.22. The full final furniture package has been reviewed by the department and the chief, and pending this signing of this change order would be released to fabrication.
Have we seen a number on that, Matt? I'm trying to,
The packet that
on the furniture
furniture
package
contracts,
total.
yes.
Can you just remind me as to how much that was? As I see, as I look at the budget, I see for furniture, a budget of $805,500.
Yeah, so the next page, which is the actual change order paperwork, is the contract A sum. So the initial contract sum was for $380,193
Okay. Yep, got it.
and 89 cents, and then the new contract sum will be $375,339.
Okay, I was just looking in the wrong place.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions around this change number 1 on the furniture package? No?
Does they have a motion to approve it?
Yeah.
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on change order number 1, furniture package contract A. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. And now, Part C, furniture contract B, change order 001.
So similarly, this was just a minor change in scope, and this is the last piece for this furniture contract as well to get it into production. If you recall back about, it was either the last building committee meeting or the one prior to that, we had a credit on a change order to remove countertop scope that was in the quartermaster room for a couple $1,000s. Basically, what we had discussed then was we were removing it from the millworkers package and assigning it to the furniture vendor. So rather than having a millworker countertop, we would have a furniture U-shaped or L-shaped workstation and a task chair. And this change order is to add that workstation and task chair. And it's an increase of $3,632.68. And again, if you turn to the last page, that's where the change order summary is with the original contract's value and the final. So it was originally $227,870 and would now be $231,503.
Okay. Any questions?
Move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve furniture contract B on change order number 1. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Matt, just one follow-up question. So we have this furniture package, $375,000 and change. We have a budget of $805,000. Can I assume that there are going to be other furniture packages coming in, or is this it?
It's both of those added together.
Okay.
So it's the 227 plus or 231 plus the 375.
Okay, so we're at 600 and change.
Something like that, yeah.
And we anticipate that's it? Is that it?
We had appliances.
There'll be.
Appliances fall under that budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just like to know where all those, I'd just like to keep track of about where we are on the budget. Thank you, everybody. All right, that brings us now, item number 6. Review and act to authorize sole source procurement for telephone software systems and provide recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. Who's got this one?
I got this one.
All right, Neil.
I believe that this should be fairly straightforward. In layman's terms, You have an existing phone system that's run through most municipal buildings across the town. The intent is to extend that agreement both in hardware and services as well as in maintenance to the vendor that is existing. The memo, I think, kind of explains it pretty well, so I'll spare you reading it word for word. And I'd be happy to take any questions that you have regarding this.
I can talk a little bit more about the procurement issue. So we currently use Forerunner Technologies for our software, for our phone system, and they are not on the state bid list. We feel that if we went out to bid and got other bids and there was a lower bidder, that would be detrimental, as this contract we have would be null and void ultimately. So under Chapter 30B, we would be requesting to ask the building committee to authorize a sole source procurement, and then ultimately it lays with the Board of Selectmen for their approval of a sole source procurement. The phones itself, we will be going out to bid for those phones itself, the hardware.
The handsets.
Yes.
The handsets.
Yes.
But you had mentioned hardware would fall into this. What?
This is providing sort of the front end, the programming, the software, and the ongoing maintenance of
Okay,
those
all right.
elements.
Just when you said hardware, to me that said,
The
I was thinking
physical
handsets.
The physical handset is a commodity. We can buy it off the
Okay,
shelf from
very good.
any one of multiple vendors.
Including from this vendor, supposedly, yes or no?
If they
come in.
If they want to submit a price, we'll be happy to accept it.
Very good. Okay, any questions? All right. So,
Do you need for us to approve this action?
we do.
And authorize to provide a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for their approval of the sole source procurement.
So I move that.
Kristen, would you?
Got it, Alex?
All right. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize sole source procurement for telephone software systems and provide recommendation to the Board of Selectmen using Forerunner Technologies?
Yes.
Does that work? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Which brings us to item number 7, review and discuss the town hall feasibility study. And Kristen has some information on this, so I'm going to hand it over to her at this point.
Yeah. Just after further consideration with the town manager and other department heads and some other conversations, we have decided to revisit this matter into the future and not move forward with the other the floor plans and the cost estimates at this time. So if and when a time comes up that it will be revisited, we'll either constitute it as this committee or there may be another building committee moving forward.
So this is on hold for now. We can put all our attention on putting together the best police station we can.
Correct.
Excellent. Donna?
So why is this? I'm just trying to follow.
There's just other considerations of, cost and space and whatnot. Do we go to the voters and ask for another amount of money to renovate the town hall? Do we get money from another source? Are there space needs, other places in town that we look at? So that is what I can share this evening.
Any other questions? No? All right, very good. Anything else? We're on item number 8. Item number 8, other business. Nobody has anything? Mo? Nope. Nope. Donna? Nope. All right, meeting schedule. We have September 19th, October 17th, November 21. Any conflicts, problems?
October 17th is a potential town meeting, right?
That is correct. We will have to move the October 17th meeting.
Okay,
There might be a
as
special town meeting.
okay.
Yep. Great, thanks, Mo.
So do we go week after that?
What works
October-
best for your schedules, for bills and whatnot, the week after? So the 10th is Columbus Day.
Yep.
So probably the 24th. Then.
The Board of Selectmen meets the 18th, so,
We do?
yep.
And the week after that is Halloween, so.
So
I would say the
you're going the
24th.
24th?
I would say the 24th.
No, whoa, whoa. My calendar.
I'm sorry, you're the 11th and then 25th. I
Yeah,
apologize.
we could meet on the 8th.
We could meet on the 18th if you needed anything that
Oh.
week.
Can everybody do it? We can do it?
How does he,
I'm not around that week.
you're not around that week?
I'm on vacation, yeah.
Okay. How dare you?
I know.
Well, you can come back.
Going to Italy, so I can't.
You can't Zoom it?
Catch a red eye.
I could, but yeah, no. I don't think I will.
Yeah,
Have one for us.
Can you guys do the 18th?
I would prefer the 18th, just for billing.
4th is
Yeah,
I mean-
18th works fine
that's
for
right.
me. I, just so you guys are aware too,
that?
I am not available for next month's meeting. That's my vacation.
Okay. Ah, it's vacation.
Tyler up
They have, they
I can
have.
send
Okay.
Tyler up for that.
So the 18th, then.
You got a pinch hitter, Matt?
I can provide one.
Or do you, well,
They may not have the same charisma.
We'll take our
See how he
chances.
does. Put him.
no,
If it's Jeff, it'll be more charisma.
I know, exactly. He's Mr. Congeniality.
So we're going to go with the 18th.
Okay.
And you got that, Alex? And no Matt. Let's make special note of that.
No, Matt, on the 19th
On the 19th,
On the 19th.
yeah.
of September.
We'll put a sad face.
And no Joe on the 18th.
And no joke, well, that we can just ignore. Yeah.
Hey, he's got a good one.
Italy, yes, that one's worth missing. All right, very good.
Conservation, but they block.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, yes.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, so voted. Thank you, everybody.